The Philippines has turned over more than $300,000 worth of humanitarian aid to Indonesia as President Rodrigo Duterte prepares to meet with his Indonesian counterpart Joko Widodo in the sidelines of the ongoing ASEAN Leaders Gathering. Let's find out why from Rosalie Cos.
His last official activity as Foreign Affairs Secretary, Alan Peter Cayetano led a ceremonial turnover of $300,000 worth of humanitarian assistance of the Philippines to Indonesia. This is for the victims of a strong earthquake and tsunami that hit the Sulawesi Island. Indonesia has been hit with a number of tremors in the past weeks, and just today, a 6.4 magnitude quake has struck off the coast of Bali, where the ASEAN Leaders Gathering is being held. President Rodrigo Duterte arrived in Bali last night along with some of his cabinet members, including Cayetano, Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez, Budget Secretary Benjamin Jokno, Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Ernesto Pernia, Communications Secretary Martin Andanar, and Special Assistant to the President Bongo. Duterte is expected to deliver a speech during the meeting and highlight the need to sustain inclusive and sustainable growth and development for all through stronger regional and global cooperation and greater security and stability. On the sidelines of ASEAN Leaders Gathering, Duterte is expected to meet Indonesian President Joko Widodo to possibly discuss matters of mutual interest such as enhancing trade and investment, combating terrorism, and intensifying maritime defense and security. The chief executive will also meet with other ASEAN leaders on various issues. After the ASEAN Leaders Gathering, Duterte will depart from Indonesia for Davao City tonight. Rosalie Cos, UNTV, News and Rescue.
Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque is yet to resign, but his replacement is already waiting in the wings. Presidential Chief Legal Counsel Salvador Panelos says he has been informed that he will be the next spokesperson of President Rodrigo Duterte and that he will assume the post beginning Monday. Panelos' appointment as the presidential spokesperson came days after Roque filed a leave of absence after being kept in the dark about Duterte's recent trip to the hospital.
Actually, wala namang pagbabago kasi day one of the presidential campaign of the president, I was already his spokesperson. And day one, when he assumed presidency, I was also his spokesperson. But the only difference, I think, would be I would be more visible this time.
Roque, meanwhile, defers his reaction on the issue until his arrival from China next week. Just this morning, Roque has told media he has not resigned from his post. Duterte has earlier mentioned he is eyeing Panelo to be the next press secretary after Roque informed him of his plan to resign and pursue his senatorial bid. The Department of Agriculture and the National Food Authority will shed more than 6 billion pesos to buy PALAY from local farmers. Ray Pelayo tells us why.
The Department of Agriculture, in collaboration with the National Food Authority, is set to launch on October 12 a massive procurement of locally produced rice in San Jose Occidental, Mindoro. Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol says they will begin by scouting areas where the price of rice is low, such as Mindoro and Bicol, with the intention of helping the country's local farmers. The NFA will buy each kilogram of rice for 17 pesos, with incentives of up to 3 pesos and 70 centavos per kilogram.
A farmer who brings his rice to the NFA at 14% moisture content will be earning 20 pesos and 70 centavos for every kilo of rice, of paddy rice that he brings to the NFA.
The DA will station drying facilities in all NFA buying stations across the country, which farmers may use for free. Farmers' cooperatives or organization will get certain points for a certain volume of rice delivered to NFA. Farmers' cooperatives may use the accumulated points in exchange of farming equipment from DA, such as tractor, rice harvester, and solar-powered irrigation system. The DA hopes these measures will be able to prevent the impact of unimpeded rice importation ordered by President Rodrigo Duterte to local farmers. The government has allotted a total of 6 to 7 billion pesos for the entire process of procuring rice from local farmers. Meanwhile, the government's rice buffer stock is estimated to suffice the country's consumption of up to 163 days once the 1 million metric tons or 20 million bags of imported rice arrive in the country by the end of the year.
Kapag dumating lahat yung imports by the end of the year, kasama na yung 350 ni Secretary Mon Lopez sa DTI, kasama na yung 750 ng NFA. By the end of December, our buffer stock would be at about 163 days going to 2019.
Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Foreign Affairs is urging immediate repatriation of 21 Filipino seafarers who were left stranded in India after their company declared bankruptcy. JL Asayo tells us why.
More pressure is being placed by the Department of Foreign Affairs on EVIC Human Resources Management for the immediate repatriation of 21 Filipino seafarers abandoned at Kakinada Port in India. Philippine Vice Consul to India J.B. Santos together with an Indian honorary consul visited the 21 Filipinos to check on their situation. They were abandoned by a Greek international company over bankruptcy. Since then, they suffered months without salary, with nothing to send their families in the Philippines. Santos and his team explained to them the process they have to go through before their repatriation. Though the process may take about a month, the abandoned crew members are relieved as their case is now being processed. The DFA also provided them with financial assistance, at least for their personal needs while they're waiting to be repatriated.
Nagbigay rin ng DFA ng cash assistance, $100 bawat crew. At least may pangtawag na kami ulit at pang-internet. Humingi rin ng crew humingi kami ng legal assistance para makuha yung unpaid wages. At nangako naman si Vice Consul J.B. Santos na magagawa nila yun. At kukuha silang magaling na lawyer.
They express gratitude to those who continue to extend a helping hand despite their situation.
Natuwa pa rin ang crew kahit matagalan pa kami ng konti. At least may maliwanag na makauwi kami. Malaki ang pasalamat ng crew sa DFA at na-aksyonan agad itong aming kalagayan dito. At sa UNTV na laging nakatutok at mapaialam tong aming kalagayan.
JL Asayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The Trade Union Congress of the Philippines welcomes the move of Congress to ratify the proposed Social Security Service Act of 2018, which seeks to grant more benefits, including a 2-month unemployment insurance for its active members. Monokson tells us why.
The Bicameral Conference Committee has recently approved the revised charter of the Social Security System, which promises expanded benefits for its members. The new SSS charter will provide compulsory coverage to overseas Filipino workers and increase its loan allotment, such as salary loan and retirement benefits. The measure will also lower penalty for overdue contributions from 3 to 2%. It also promises financial assistance for 2 months, amounting to half of the monthly salary for its members who lost their jobs.
Yung mga nawawalan ng trabaho dahil for example nagsara yung kumpanya o kaya merong mga kumpanya di ba na lumilipat sa ibang bansa or nagsara din yung kumpanya dahil nagkaroon ng kalamidad, dapat matulungan natin yung mga empleyado doon na mamuhay o magkaroon man lang ng supplemental income habang sila ay naghahanap pa ng mapapasukang panibago.
Among those who are looking forward to avail of the SSS unemployment insurance are contractual workers, Mirasol Salvante and Rafi Malakad. They say this would help them sustain their needs while they look for another job when their 6-month contract expires.
Kung halimbawa walang budget pa, mag-aantay pahinga muna, mga ganun po. Magde-depend ka ulit sa pamilya mo.
Pag nawala ng trabaho, wala kagad wala kang maasahan na makukuha ganyan kasi hindi regular eh.
The SSS, however, clarifies that not all active members will benefit from the proposed policy.
Yun ang magiging problema natin. Actually, kapag hindi ka regular na nagbabayad sa SSS, naapektuhan yung iba mong mga benepisyo sa SSS.
In order to strengthen their fund, the SSS would have to hike the monthly contribution of its members. Under the proposed law, the 11% monthly contribution will increase by 1% starting next year and gradually hike up to 15% by year 2025. The Trade Union Congress of the Philippines, meanwhile, welcomes the new SSS charter. However, they are proposing some amendments in its provisions.
Ang aming panukala ay dapat 6 months na bigyan ng unemployment insurance at yung 6 months na yon ay sapat na panahon para makahanap ulit ng trabaho yung ating mga miyembro ng SSS.
The group adds the agency should also strictly monitor factors that might affect its operations, such as status of its investments, fight against delinquent employers, and giving of large bonuses to its employees. The Social Security Act of 2018 awaits President Rodrigo Duterte's signature before officially becoming a law. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Commission on the Filipino Language calls for the creation of a Department of Culture amid growing number of dialects in danger of going obsolete. Kathy Maglalang tells us why.
The Commission on the Filipino Language reports that at least 37 dialects in the country are considered endangered or almost obsolete. These are dialects of the ethnic or tribal communities, particularly in the small villages found in Mindanao and the Cordillera region. The Commission says among the reasons for the diminishing of a native dialect in the country is because the use of a certain dialect is no longer common or practiced. Tribes using a certain dialect were also separated due to armed conflicts in their area. The Commission of the Filipino Language notes a dialect can be considered endangered if users or speakers of a language are lower than 10,000.
Walang intervention, hindi natin matitiyak kung kailan. Pero pag sinabi natin endangered, ibig sabihin nun, delikado na yun. Baka isang henerasyon na lang. Kasi kung hindi isalin sa mga bata ngayon, wala na. Putol na yung transmission. Isang henerasyon pwedeng mamatay.
The growing number of diminishing dialects in the country has prompted the agency to publish books that are printed in at least 23 native languages. Local dialects should also have its own grammar books and dictionaries to conserve it for the next generation. The agency is also calling for the creation of the Department of Culture to help in the preservation of the country's regional languages.
Kung mamatay yan, part of our identity is lost. Hindi natin kasi malalaman ang halaga ng bawat wika natin hanggang hindi natin nakikilala. Isang landas sa kaunlaran ng mga Pilipino ang pagkakaroon ng isang wika na magagamit nila sa pagtuklas ng karunungan.
Meanwhile, a 3-day international conference is being held in the country which tackles information on the preservation of cultural languages. Kathy Maglalang, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
3 Philippine islands grab the top spots as best islands in Asia, voted by readers of international travel magazine Condé Nast Traveler. Siargao ranked first, driven by the island's popularity among surfers. This is followed by Boracay, which remains of interest to foreign tourists despite its temporary closure. The magazine cited its powdery white sand beach and shallow azure waters as the main draw. Palawan grabs the 3rd spot this year. The Department of Tourism, meanwhile, welcomes the citation, which serves as invitation to tourists to visit the Philippines. A sitting senator, a legendary folk singer, and former lawmakers are among the first to file their certificates of candidacy for the 2019 midterm elections. Nel Maribuhok tells us why.
The early birds at the Office of the Commission on Elections in Intramuros, Manila were filing their certificates of candidacy for the Senate race in 2019. The first to arrive was former Senate President Coco Pimentel, who is seeking re-election. He explains he decided to file early as he will be busy preparing for his wedding next week with partner Katrina Yu. Pimentel was wearing a red shirt when he filed his COC and called on to his party mates to do the same to follow the campaign color of the PDP Laban.
Ito po ang gagawin naming campaign color ng partido, PDP Laban. So, ang pakiusap ko sa mga kapartido ko kung pag-file o pagkampanya, dali ng color red. PDP Laban entertains even radical ideas on how to solve our problems. Out of the box solutions to problem.
Following Pimentel was folk musician Freddie Aguilar, who says he was compelled to join the Senate race by his advocacy.
Katulad po nung aking kantang Katarungan, 1980 ko po yan pinasikat. Ang gusto ko pong, ang pinatutungkulan ko po doon yung justisya po natin. Kasi isa po ako sa nag-advocate na magkaroon po tayo ng jury system sana dito sa atin sa Pilipinas.
Third to arrive was former Pangasinan Mayor Abner Afuang, who first grabbed headlines in 2009 when he poured water on celebrity doctor Hayden Ko during a Senate probe on a sex video scandal. But Afuang's COC was reported to have been rejected by COMELEC because he used an outdated form. He said he will correct the error and file again.
Sabi ko, ayoko na sa politika eh. Kultura pera. Ginawang political dynasty ng mga corrupt na politician.
Former lawmaker Nery Colmenares is also taking another shot at his senatorial bid.
Malala ang gutom at kontraktualisasyon sa bansa. Ang unang dapat labanan dito sa Senado, isang batas na nagbabasura sa excise tax ng train.
Some social and health advocates have also filed their candidacy for the senatorial race.
I felt as an evacuee leader, ako po yung nanindigan sa Kongreso na proteksyonan yung mga karapatan po ng ating mga bakwit.
Hindi ko kaya mag-imbento ng magandang gamot sa AIDS, pero pwede tayo tumulong.
COMELEC says a total of 27 personalities have filed their COCs today at their office in Intramuros. More are expected to submit their certificates of candidacy until its deadline on October 17. COMELEC Commissioner Rheena says in the last election, around 140 political aspirants have filed their COCs, but only 50 passed the qualifications. Guanzon also notes the small percentage of females who won national elective post.
Konti lang din ang kumakandidato. And yet, ang voters natin, more than 51% babae. Kahit ditong sa SK, more than 51% ang girls na bumoto, na registered voters. But we have good news because in the SK, dun sa members, umabot tayo ng 36% girls.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Commission on Elections has started accepting certificates of nomination and acceptance, or CONA, from party list groups. 18 party list groups have filed their CONA on the first day of filing. Grace Casin will tell us why.
Security guard Leonardo Olyar filed his Certificate of Nomination and Acceptance, or CONA, early this morning. He said he wants all security guards like him to have representation in Congress.
Kasi sa sweldo pa lang mababa, di ba? Tapos yung pabahay, wala sila ng karamihan ng upahan.
First-timers party list group also filed their CONA earlier today, like Ako Bisdak Bisayang Dako party list, who wants the Visayan region to be represented in Congress. Other groups include Partido ng Bayan ng Bida, who is pushing for housing projects, Partido Lakas ng Masa for teachers, youth, and workers, Anak IP, who represents indigenous people, One Utap coming from Transport Group, Laang Kawal ng Pilipinas, Sulong Dignidad, and the Abe Kapampangan party list, who represents Kapampangans.
Wala po tayo ngayon, so kahit sa Congress wala po tayong makita na talagang humahawak ng transportasyon, na talagang may sasakyan.
Kining among hugpong sa para sa mga Kabisayan, dahil mga Kabisayan god murag underrepresented
upang ilaban yung mga usapin ng masa, yung mga hinaing ng masa, lalo na ngayon sa panahon ito.
Amin pong isusulong ng bawat nagsisikap na Pilipino ay magkaroon ng sariling bahay.
Incumbent congressmen meanwhile seek for re-election. Among them are Abono, Butil, Kabayan, Manila Teachers, Diwa, Puwersa ng Bayaning Atleta, and Senior Citizens Party List groups.
Pagsawata doon sa patuloy na pagtaas ng bilang ng mga kababayan po natin na nagkakaroon ng sakit ng AIDS. Tututukan po natin ito.
Balak po namin ay pagpatuloy po namin yung pinaglalaban yung ating mga bayaning atleta. Dahil nga kulang po talaga ang ating mga budgetary support, pati yung ating mga legislation para sa ating mga atleta.
Before the closing time, ACT's OFW party list filed their CONA. ACT's OFW party list representative John Bertiz arrived at the Palacio del Gobernador together with his colleagues, but he refused to give any statements of his presence there. COMELEC Legal Department lawyer Attorney Akiako confirms Bertiz is still the #1 nominee and that the resigned PCOO ASEC Mocha Uson was not included as nominee. After Uson's resignation, there had been rumors that she might run under ACT's OFW party list.
Si Mocha Uson?
Wala naman.
The filing of CONA takes almost 30 minutes. COMELEC personnel carefully checks the documents filed to ensure that they are correct and complete. For the day, 18 party list groups filed their CONA. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Political hopefuls in several provinces also trooped to COMELEC offices today to file their certificates of candidacy for the 2019 midterm polls. Among them are Angeline Halili, the daughter of slain Tanawan City Mayor Antonio Halili, and Batangas Representative Vilma Santos Recto. Let's find out why from Robbie de Guzman.
The daughter of slain Mayor Antonio Halili of the city of Tanawan filed her certificate of candidacy on day 1 of the filing today. Angeline Sweet Halili is running against Alfredo Corona, the father of incumbent Mayor Joanna Corona Villamor, who succeeded Mayor Halili after his assassination. Corona Villamor meanwhile has decided to run as board member of Tanawan City.
Si Daddy kasi maraming unfinished businesses yan. Unfinished business. And at the same time, hindi ko kayang talikuran ng tao.
The Halili patriarch, controversial for his parade of drug suspects in the streets of Tanawan, was shot dead by a still unidentified assailant during a flag-raising ceremony in front of the Tanawan City Hall on July 2, 2018. His murder is one of the remaining cases unsolved by authorities among the 18 cases of murder against local executives since the start of the Duterte administration. Congresswoman Vilma Santos Recto also filed her COC to seek re-election as Batangas representative under the Nacionalista Party. She was accompanied by her husband, Senator Ralph Recto, when she submitted her COC at the Batangas Capitol. E.R. Ejercito meanwhile is making another run as Laguna governor. He was disqualified by the COMELEC in 2014 for overspending during the 2013 elections. He ran again in 2016 but he lost his bid to return to the provincial capital.
Sa lahat ng mga Lagunenyo at Lagunense, asahan po ninyo ang pagbabalik ng Agila. Ibabalik po natin ang dangal, saya, sigla at kaunlaran ng bagong Laguna.
Also seeking re-election are incumbent Laguna 3rd District Congresswoman Sol Aragones and 4th District Representative Benji Agarao, as well as Oriental Mindoro 1st District Representative Paulino Salvador Doyliachon.
It's just that we're facing a new challenge sa makabagong Mindoro. Kaya siguro yun ang napili ng partido para iangat mas lalo yung lalawigan.
Robbie de Guzman, UNTV News and Rescue.
Some of the previously declared nuisance candidates have once again tried to file their COCs for 2019 senatorial elections. However, the Commission on Elections says they cannot declare nuisance candidates because the process will start after the filing of certificates of candidacy. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Although it was just the first day of filing of certificates of candidacy, many filers arrived at the COMELEC office in Intramuros. This early, many think some of those who submitted their certificate of candidacy seem to be incapable of being candidates. The Commission on Elections, however, said they cannot just declare any filer to be a nuisance candidate. Some political aspirants who have been declared to be nuisance candidates in previous elections still want to try and be included in the senatorial balls. Some aspirants claim they only have simple programs to offer.
Ang aking pong isusulong na batas. Ito po yung dapat po ginawa na po nung araw pa ng ilang nanungkulan sa ating bansa. Ito po yung piso mula sa puso.
One who said is part of the royal blood promised to fight for a right for the Philippine territory.
Kung hindi nila ako ginawang nuisance candidate, sana ang Spratly Island, nagmamalasakit kami dahil kami ang legitimate claimant niyan. Kami ang may jurisdiction.
Daniel Martira have tried many times to file and pass as a senatorial candidate. He said he will fight for Pinoy Rock and express his message for his love interest.
Si Chris Aquino, kung nanonood ka ngayon, umiibig pa rin ako sa'yo. Election na naman. Sa 2019 May 13 election, daan-daan lang ang paglakbay, mga pirasong pangarap ating mapapagtagumpay, sabay-sabay tayong mangangarap sa mundo ng ating buhay.
Agi Tuana, on the other hand, said he will fight for the rights of banana vendors.
Para kay Mocha, nakakababayan ko. Ako sana iboto ninyo sa darating na eleksyon para sa Senado.
According to Commission on Elections, not until the COC filing has ended will they be able to scrutinize the COCs of candidates.
Ang nuisance, ang declaration ng nuisance has to be preceded by a hearing. So kailangan after the filing of certificates of candidacy, isa sa mga prosesong pagdadaanan ng Law Department ay magre-rekomenda siya ng mga motu proprio kakasuhan natin ng COMELEC ng nuisance.
According to the Omnibus Election Code, a verified petition to declare a duly registered candidate as nuisance must be filed within 5 days from the last day for the filing of certificates of candidacy. Based on the OEC, a candidate can be considered a nuisance when the certificate of candidacy has been filed to put the election process in mockery or disrepute. The certificate of candidacy causes confusion among voters by the similarity of the names of the registered candidates. By other acts or circumstances which clearly demonstrate that the candidate has no bona fide intention to run for office. A candidate will be given the opportunity to prove that he has the capacity to run in a national post before the COMELEC decides their qualification or disqualification. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Philippine National Police will revoke assignments of police escorts to politicians and even private individuals beginning January in view of the upcoming elections. Victor Cosare tells us why.
All police security escorts of politicians and private individuals will be recalled by the Philippine National Police beginning January 13, 2019. According to Police Security Protection Group Director Villamor-Camara, the revocation of police escort assignments will take place when the election period for the 2019 midterm polls begins. Recalled policemen will be assigned to secure vital installations and perform election-related duties. Data from the PSPG show that more than 300 policemen have been deployed to secure 111 politicians and 92 important private individuals in the country.
Part yun ng effort ng government to prevent the occurrence of election-related violence. And also, meron na rin effort yung PNP on addressing yung mga private armed groups. So, basically yun ang magiging role ng ating mga PSP to monitor all these threats to our forthcoming election.
Escobar says the measure is in compliance with the resolution of the Commission on Elections. VIPs will need the approval of the COMELEC in order to secure police escorts. The recall order, however, exempts police escorts assigned to the President, Vice President, Chief Justice, Senate President, House Speaker, and Secretaries of Defense, DILG, Election Commissioners, AFP Chief of Staff, Major Service Commanders, PNP Chief, and its senior officers. Police escorts will return to their assignments after the election period. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The camp of Senator Antonio Trillanes IV has asked the Makati Regional Trial Court, Branch 148, to revisit its ruling on the issuance of arrest warrant and the revival of rebellion charges against him. May Bermudez tells us why.
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV asked Judge Elmo Alameda to take a second look on his earlier ruling on issuance of arrest warrant and revival of rebellion case against him. The court is set to hear his appeal tomorrow. It was on October 1 when Trillanes' camp asked for another chance to present pieces of evidence to the court. In his 19-page motion for reconsideration, his camp underscored that he complied with amnesty requirements, particularly on the submission of the application and admission of guilt. And since the original copy of the form was lost, the court may refer to its photocopy and on the sworn affidavits of former DND ad hoc committee members who processed it. He argued that based on the best evidence rule, the original document is the strongest evidence, but in the event that it was lost or destroyed, may be substituted by secondary evidence. A rule Trillanes' camp claimed the Makati court misapplied, but some legal experts have this to say.
Ano sabi ng Korte Suprema? Hindi naman kami trier of facts. Hindi kami nagbabalanse ng mga ebidensya at tumatanggap ng ebidensya. Mas maganda sa Korte. So, ibig sabihin, hindi nag-issue ng TRO ang Korte Suprema at pinabayaan niya na ang RTC muna ang manguna dito. Diba? So, ano ibig sabihin? Ni-refer mismo ng Korte Suprema ang kaso sa Regional Trial Court.
As long as it's shown the amnesty certificate, the burden of proof is on the government. The responsibility for custody of documents is in the government. It's not with Senator Trillanes. There should be no shifting of the burden.
Trillanes was issued an arrest warrant last September 25 for his rebellion charges, but was granted temporary liberty after posting a 200,000 peso bail. May Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
The Philippine Embassy in Indonesia clarifies there is no Filipino who has been sentenced to death in Semarang. This is after Ambassador Lee Hyong-wee mentioned to the members of the press on Wednesday that another Filipino was sentenced to death in the said country. The Department of Foreign Affairs, citing the Philippine Embassy in Indonesia, says the only Filipino sentenced to death in Indonesia is Mary Jane Veloso, who is presently detained in Yogyakarta and not in Semarang. The DFA adds that just last month, embassy officials assisted Veloso's family to visit her in detention at Wirogunan prison in Yogyakarta. The DFA further notes that the government will continue to assist Veloso and her family in accordance with Philippine and Indonesian law. In a separate statement, the embassy also clarifies that there is indeed another Filipina detained in Semarang, Indonesia, but she was sentenced only to life imprisonment. Friday mornings will be more exciting starting tomorrow. Les Longbowen will tell us why.
The Wishful 5 will officially be part of the Good Morning Kuya family starting tomorrow. Apart from useful advices and information, Fridays will be filled with music brought by the up-and-coming girl group.
Every week may themes na kakantahin namin, mga 80s, 90s, millennials, mga ganun.
Wishful's Ace, Carmela, Louie Ann, Kimberly, and Princess have been preparing for the show this week. The group is thankful for the new opportunity to share their music and to learn more things.
It's our training ground para mas ma-enhance namin yung confidence namin sa camera, sabi nga ni Kuya. Kasi pag singer ka, dapat friendly ka sa camera. So, ayun.
Never in our wildest dreams na magkakaroon kami ng show on TV. So now, mangyayari siya this coming Friday. And of course, we are very thankful kay Kuya Daniel dahil pinagkakatiwalaan niya kami ng ganitong kalaki.
So wake up early tomorrow and join the Wishfuls in greeting... Good morning, Kuya! Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
And those are the reasons behind the stories in the first and second part of our newscast. Y News returns with Rheena, Villamor-Camara. I'm Angelo, Castro III. Good evening.